Hey everybody, this is Steve from PopCultureMaven.com. We're back with this week's new comic book reviews. Sorry we were a little late last week with getting that review up. I'd recorded earlier, but I was out of town for the weekend, so anyways, it got up. I got it done. Sometimes it takes a little while in the editing part. That's where. It's kind of a small week because we have a fifth week this week, but there were also some really there was a spectacular omnibus that came out this week, but also a couple hardcovers. Now, first up, Nightwing Time of the Titans. Now, this came out a little while ago, but I forgot to order it. Once again, this is why you pre-order stuff, but thankfully Ryan was able to get him back in stock for me. I really love Tom Taylor and Bruno Redondo's Titan run. This one also had a lot of Travis Moore artwork in it because he came in and helped. The other I was very excited about this. The Richard Corbin's Den Volume 4 came out this week. It is truly spectacular, and it's really, the remastering on this is absolutely amazing. But here's the big one, kids. It's a big one. DC versus Marvel. This collects all the crossover books that Marvel and DC did over the years. It started out in 1978 with Spider-Man and Superman, and then slowly over time they did more. The first few were actually Treasury editions, so they were big. So the slight downside to that is when they print them in this size book, the art is shrunk down a little bit, which is, kind of disappointing. But hey, this is a one-time printing on this book, so if you're even remotely interested, definitely get it now, because of the deal between Marvel and DC, there is only one printing of this book, so it is going to it's going to sell out fast. It's pricey. It's $150, but like I said, it was reprinted, I believe, in the late 80s, early 90s as trades. Those are out of print. So really, and those go for a fair amount of money. But like I said, this reprint. Now this cover, I picked the George Perez cover because he did a cover for the first trade that collected the series, or the first Treasury editions. And then there's also a cover by Jim Lee, which is in this book. So if you want one or the other, so it's it does reprint both covers for this. Now, Jim Lee did do a new cover for this collection, but I went with the classic George Perez. I was very excited. The one I was really wanting to get out of this was the Batman Hulk with artwork by Jose Garcia Lopez. I was very excited about that because I remember picking that up as a kid and just loving it to death. And and I totally fell in love with his artwork, and he to me is one of the greatest artists of all time, and I was very excited. Like I said, this is a one printing edition, so if you're even remotely interested, order it as soon as you possibly could. So with that out of the way, let's get with this week's comics. First up, we have Poison Ivy Swamp Thing, the Feral Trees one shot, written by G. Willow Wilson with artwork by Mike Perkins. So what this is people are disappearing in the woods, and this mysterious presence that's in the wood is kind of not so much calling Poison Ivy and Swamp Thing, but they know something's going on. They know about, she of course knows about the missing people, and then we find out that there is I'm trying to not spoil this. There's something in the woods that is basically trying to protect what has come into the woods that's kind of causing all this. Of course, Swamp Thing, kind of controls the green, but he even can't control this thing because it's something else that's kind of infecting the green in a way. So it's really interesting. It makes a lot of sense to have these two team up because they're kind of somewhat related in a way. She controls plants and he is basically plants. I really like this story a lot. I think the good thing is it gives you a feel of what G. Willow Wilson is doing in the monthly Poison Ivy book. And then you have Mike Perkins, who had teamed up with Ram V on the most recent Swamp Thing series, or mini series. And it really, I really like the story a lot. I'm a big fan of Mike Perkins' artwork, and Wilson just wrote a really good, solid, one and done story that is just really, really good, really creepy, and of course then Mike Perkins brings all that to life. So this is well worth buying this week. This was probably one of the best of this week, for a very small week. Next up, we have Dwellings All Hallow Eve special, written and drawn by Jay Stevens. So now this, it's not so much a follow-up. This is a one-and-done story. Dwellings came out last year. There is a hardcover collection. It's really nice. And basically what these are horror stories kind of done in the Harvey comic style. So like remember Casper, Richie Rich and all that. That's what it looks like. It's very much an homage to early Ernie Colin, who did a lot of the artwork in those books. And so, but it's a total horror story, but done in like cute kid style. It's very bizarre, but very amazing. And so what it is Emmanuel and Chet, Chet thinks all the kids, because they went on a trip, and he thinks they're all vampires. So he's out to like take care, to kill them. And so, his girlfriend, Emmanueline, she thinks that she's become a vampire. There's the whole thing of that. And then all the other kids discover that Chet's, killing them or trying to kill them. So they end up going to the abandoned bushel factory to find him and, take him out, basically. This is really good stuff. Like I said, I really enjoyed the Dwellings series that Stevens did. He originally did it as like a Kickstarter. It was a crowdfunded thing. And then Ani Press picked it up, and it was a really big success. And so now he's just working with Ani. Like I said, he's done this special. It's perfect for Halloween. And he's doing a new Dwelling series that's going to come out next year. So I'm very excited about that. If you hadn't if you haven't picked up the original Dwellings series, or mini series, I should say, because it was 3 issues. This is really good jumping on point, because it's kind of a one and done story, and it gives you the flavor that Stevens is doing the book in. So I really, really liked it, and definitely well worth checking out. I'm a really big fan of that. Next up, It Happened on Hyde Street, Devour one shot, written by Maytal Zickett, with artwork by Leah Letts. So this is a one shot in kind of spinning off on the Hyde Street, because there's only been one issue, and basically Hyde Street's the best way to describe it's kind of like the Twilight Zone. If you end up on Hyde Street, there's something that has drawn you to that street. And so what this is Lily is getting married, but she can't fit into the wedding dress, so she needs to lose some weight. Patricia, her mom, and her grandmother, Bernice, it starts off, Bernice she ends up on Hyde Street, and she gets this magic weight loss stuff called Devour. And so, and that's in the past, and then the present was with Lily, Lily and her mom, Patricia, getting ready for the wedding. So the whole story is about, kind of losing weight, and it's like, the quick fix to lose weight isn't, it's kind of the monkey paw story. Be careful what you ask for. That's kind of the best way to describe it without giving too much away. Zuckett's script is really good. At first I wasn't quite, as I'm reading through and I'm like, okay, I'm not. And then as it goes along, it just builds really nicely. And I really, like I said, when you get to the end and you kind of get the reveal of like what has happened and what the price you pay for being thin, it's really a good ending. It's very much like a Twilight Zone type story, which fits into the mood of Hyde Street. And Liz's artwork is nice. It definitely is pretty creepy visually, but it's more that subtle creepy thing, which actually works really well in the book. I actually liked it. Like I said, it's hard to it's kind of unusual to have a special come out after only one issue, but like I said, I did like the Hyde Street. So and I like the idea of doing, like a one shot of, just like a story that doesn't necessarily fit in. So, and I think they tried to rush this out for Halloween. Let's so we have kind of three horror comics are in a row. So definitely being the 5th week in Halloween week, it's definitely a smart move on the publishers to get this out. But Devours, I think, is worth checking out this week. Next up, we have Ultimate X-Men number 8, written and drawn by Peach Momoko. So really, this is, first of all, you can't jump in. You need to have read the first 7 issues. But basically what we're kind of learning is that the Shadow King has, kind of been building this, army of mutants in some ways. So really this issue is kind of, the term Children of the Atom is kind of becoming known to the public. And, the Makers Council is kind of like behind the scenes, kind of somewhat of this cult, with the mutants. And so this issue, we're introduced to, it appears to be like Cyclops, and I believe the other one might be Sunfire. Now, we're not sure because, so we have 2 mutants that appear in this issue, but we're just learning about them. It's hard to describe because what I love that Momoko is doing here, it's really the long form story. Each month we get these nice little chunks of the story that is a much bigger story. And that's why, like I said, you can't just jump in this issue. You need to read the, ongoing story. I think it's also one of those books that I do enjoy reading it monthly, but I think it's going to read exceptionally well when it's, kind of like this first story arc is finished. But I still think it's well worth checking out and buying. I love this book. And of course, her artwork is absolutely amazing. It's just gorgeous. And it's just really, it's for me, it's been the best of the Ultimate books just because it's so, outside the box and what superheroes can be, really. I really love this book a lot. Next up, we have Batman The Last Halloween, number 2, written by Jeff Loeb with artwork by Klaus Janson. So what this is, Batman and Robin is trying to figure out what Holiday or, somebody being Holiday is doing. So they end up going to Arkham. Batman basically beats the information out of the Mad Hatter that the Penguin is somewhat involved. And, because Holiday is, as best we can, has kidnapped James Gordon's son. So that's why Batman and Robin are trying to find him. And so we know that somehow the FBI is kind of involved into this whole thing. What their role is, we're not quite sure. There's a little bit of a nugget at the end of this issue. And so it's just, it's a 10-part story that's going to finish the Long Halloween trilogy. Now, unfortunately, as we all know, sadly, Tim Sale had passed away before this book could be finished. So what it is they went to people that Tim was fans of and, friends that are each issues drawn by a different artist. In this case, it's Klaus Janson. And he really, his style is very perfect. Not that he's very much mimicking Tim, but he's definitely in the vein of Sale's artwork. It's really a gorgeous looking issue. I'm really liking that each issue is done by different artists because it gives it a really kind of an interesting twist, in the story. So, once again, this is a loving tribute, great tribute to Tim, and it's really nice to see that a lot of artists have come together to finish this final story that they were going to do. So, well worth picking up. Really, it's really great. But I do recommend definitely reading the first couple of chapters of Long Halloween. It definitely is, it kind of gives you a better sense of like this one. I think you can come in cold, but I think it helps if you've read the previous stories. So next up we have Uncanny Valley number 6, written by Tony Fleece with artwork by David Wachter. So this is kind of a big issue because we really learn Oliver's origin, kind of how, his mom came to the Toon World. And what's interesting is we find out this issue, this really brings a lot of stuff together that has been going on in the story. We learn that there's a connection between the Toon World and the real world, and that what is happening in the real world is affecting the Toon World. That's why, the villain wants to, basically use Oliver to fix things, because Oliver's kind of human and Toon, because of his mom making it with the Toon, shall we say. And we also find out the secret of Oliver's human dad, which I'm not going to spoil here, but it really it brings up an interesting question of where Fleece is going to take this story. It answers a lot of questions, but then adds more questions onto it. So I really like this issue. This issue really kind of like gave it a turn, but not like, there were unexpected things, but not things that are like, well, that doesn't make any sense. No, it made perfect sense. And of course, Wachter artwork, just really the way he's able to draw humans and Toons is just, it's amazing. It's a great looking book. I really love this story a lot. I'm a really big fan of this book. I'd say at this point with the 6 issues, I think it's going to be 9 or 10 issues. I'm not sure. But I would say at this point, it's going to be tough to maybe find, but if you can find the first 5 issues, definitely pick them up. But it's very possible that you might just have to wait for the trade on this one. But definitely, if definitely well worth picking up if you can find the previous issues. I really like this book. Fleece and Wachter are really just knocking out of the park on this. And finally this week, we have Come Find Me, an Autumnal offering. So there's 5 stories. There's Devil's Trill, written by Hamlish Machine, with artwork by Joe Pavlica. So Portorium, written and drawn by Becky Cloonan. Down by the Water, written by Molly Mendoza, with artwork by Lucas Gattoni. Cole and Clover, written and drawn by Vanessa Del Rey. And La Chita, written by Celine Loop, written and drawn by Celine Loop. And then The Warmth of the Hunt, written and drawn by E.M. Carroll. So once again, this is kind of an anthology. It's Distillery's, I guess you could say, second anthology, because they started off with an anthology. But these are all, horror themed stories. So that's its obvious theme. And of course, coming out on Halloween week is once again kind of a planned thing. The Devil's Thrill is basically this guy makes a deal with the devil for love. And it's a really simple monkey's paw. Be careful what you wish for, because, what you think you're going to get is not really what you get. I really like the artwork on this one. Once again, the story is pretty basic, but it's a good story. Pavlica's artwork is really, really nice. I really like this one. Portorium, by Cloonan, it's about this couple who are grave robbers, and she basically ends up stealing the coin for the ferryman from a dead person, and it comes, basically the whole thing comes back to haunt her, because you can't steal from the dead. And that's really the story of, be careful what you do, because there are consequences to that. Of course, who isn't a big fan of Becky Cloonan? I really like this story, and the art is just perfect for this. Down by the Water, that one's an interesting story. For the first time I read it, I didn't quite get it. Then I went back and slowed down a little bit to reread it. And basically what it is Henry, his wife Avery, she drowns, but he kind of finds her, and then we find out, is she real? We're not sure. But then Gina falls in love with Henry, and then it's like, I don't want to really say anymore, but there's something about this couple, and the water. That's all I'm going to say. It was, like I said, the first time I read it, I was kind of like, huh? But then, Mendoza's story, and I think it's kind of the panel layout. You have to really pay attention to how you read each page. It's not a bad thing. I think it's just using a different way. And that's, I really like Atuni's artwork. It really set the tone for this story. It's kind of a, they're all kind of messed up fairy tales in some respects. Then we have Cole and Clover, which is basically a simple revenge story. But as with any revenge, there's a price to pay for it. And so what it is the town kills Otis Tucker, and his wife and daughter are, basically banned from the town. And so she gets revenge on the town, but there is a price to pay for that revenge. So that was really interesting. I really like Vanessa Del Rey's artwork, and it was a really messed up story, but I really like that. La Chita is pretty much it's a story of kind of a siren who seduces men, and it does not end well for them. This one for me was a little bit of I like the artwork, but it's very eclectic. And it was kind of a bit of a tough read, but I think that, the story is pretty basic, which is, these are all short stories, so you only have so much room to deal with. But it was kind of like, I liked it. I just didn't quite love it, but I thought the artwork was very interesting. But it was just, it just didn't really overwhelm me. And then the warmth of the hunt, is basically a poem, by E.M. Carroll. And it's really beautiful, but it's a poem, which is not bad, but it's definitely, I can't say much because I don't want to give away the kind of plot of the poem, but it was really interesting, and the artwork on that one was really, really amazing. I really like that. So overall, I think it's worth checking out. I liked that these were not, kind of they're on the surface, they're run-of-the-mill type stories, the monkey's paw, be careful. But I think what it was is there was really nice twist in the story. And of course, overall, I think the artwork was really amazing on all of them. And I think it's worth checking out. And I like Distillery doing kind of like this Halloween special, basically. So that was really, really a big win for Distillery, and I hopefully they'll maybe do more, like specials like this where, with like short stories, because it's a nice sampler book. That's going to do it this week. Like I said, it's a 5th week, so it's a small week. As always, public service announcement: I get all my comics at Pulp Fiction Comics, Long Beach, California. Ryan Skinner, the owner, runs a really great store. If you're in the Long Beach area, definitely check it out. They offer discounts on trades, graphic novels. They have a really nice manga selection. He's really beefed up the all ages section, which is really, I'm a big fan of all ages books. Getting kids to read is always a win. And there's Wendy and Annie, and Derek handles a lot of their socials. Definitely check out their socials. And also they have a great pull service, so that way if you pre-order stuff, they pull it for you and it's ready to roll on Wednesday. So if you order, I think it's like 10 books, don't hold me to that, you get a discount on your new comics. So that's a win too. So if you're in the Long Beach area, definitely check out Pulp Fiction Comics in Long Beach on Anaheim Boulevard in Long Beach. And as always, we end our show with Be Kind. Being kind to each other is really important right now. I mean, the world's crazy. I mean, there's the election. I'm not going to get political here. But it's really a crazy time, and I know a lot of people are just really nervous and everything with all the stuff that's going on in the world, and also the job market is not particularly great, and there's just a lot of stuff going on. But being kind to others is really important right now, because little kindness, just opening the door for somebody, acknowledging existence, things like that really can make someone's day. And also take care of yourself. Be kind to yourself. I know things are rough. once again, we all get down and stuff. And I think that's where, being lifted up by other people really helps. Like this last weekend, my friends took me on a trip, and it was really great, and I really needed it. And once again, that's where kindness comes in, because they were kind to me, and I, in turn, try to pass that kindness on to others. And being kind to others and yourself is really important right now. It's tough out there, but being kind is really just good for your soul. And that's going to do it this week. Like I said, it's a small week, but some really good books this week. Considering how small it was really solid. No clunkers in the bunch, so that's always pretty rare. But that's going to do it. Thanks for watching. Thanks. We've had some new subscribers. Thank you very much for joining. Comments are always welcome. And suggestions, I'm always willing to, if you have suggestions, please let me know. But that's going to do it this week. This is Steven from PopCultureMaven.com signing off. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next week. Okay, bye-bye.